gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting edition of the Spectacular Variety Show, coming to you live here at the studios of CTV here on Staten Island. As usual, to my right and your left, my co-host Vin. Welcome again to the show, Vin.
Hi, thanks. Always a pleasure to be here.
Okay, we're gonna start off like we usually start off. We haven't actually been here on this show. I think it's been over. I think it's been over a month now at this point, because Columbus Day we were shut down. Obviously a holiday. The studio wasn't open, so we got a whole month of soccer that just kind of came and went. So we're basically we're 3/4 of the way through. Few scores going backward to last weekend. The Great Kill Starlets lost a heartbreaker to the Patrides Panther Pride, 2-1. Unfortunately, a game that got away. It was, I think, the Pride's first win in the few years that it's been in existence. You hate to lose those ones, obviously. And unfortunately, maybe it was a little bit of an underestimation on the team's part. Going forward, not so much of a heartbreaker, just very disappointing. This past weekend, I had actually missed the game due to a previous engagement, and the Starlets lost again to the St. St. Thomas Lady Stars, 6-0. From what I understand, both teams are short players, but if both are short, that's hardly an excuse for a 6-0 game. I just don't think that they came to play, and this team's going to be facing some serious questions from fall to the spring when the season's over. Again, unfortunately, at this point, I think they're sitting on 1 or 2 wins with 3 or 4 losses. And unfortunately, I don't think we're going anywhere. Having said that, like I said, lots of questions for this team. But on to, I guess, much happier news. The Great Kills Sting, U8 Boys, Western Division, sitting in second place, 1 point behind St. Joseph St. Thomas. I believe it's the Tornadoes, if I'm not mistaken. We're sitting behind them at 1 point. I believe that their record is 5-0-1, and we're sitting at 4-1-1. Unfortunately, the game that we did lose was to them. A game that unfortunately I missed, and I lost 3-2 in a tight game. Most recently, since our last show, we've beaten the St. Charles Panthers in a tough game, 1-0. We've beaten the Lady Star of the Sea Lions, 4-0, which could have been a lot worse had we not decided to pull all the regulars. Obviously, this game was a little bit, well, it was typical in that the Sting usually start the game slow and then warm up, especially by the second half. Sometimes just the floodgates open to start the second half and they're off and rolling. But unfortunately, you just get a little bit concerned when you feel like you're the superior team and you go into the half tied at 0, and you're like, there's a chance we could only come out with a tie here, which is what was going on in that game. We come out swinging. We score 4 goals in 5 or 6 minutes. The game is pretty much at hand. You basically sit out the regulars for the last 14, 15 minutes, and you let everybody get some extra playing time. Next up was the Our Lady Helper Christian Typhoon. Very physical team. To their credit, they hung in there with us. We did win that game 1-0 on a goal by Joshua. Again, I guess it doesn't matter how you win as long as you win. And in a very exciting game on Sunday, unfortunately, we had a blown call in the first half. The ref missed a handball in the box that she confirmed to me 5 or 10 seconds after. I was kind of reminding her that she blew the call. She confirmed that she blew the call, and we sat at a 0-0 game for 39 minutes and about 45 seconds, 50 seconds. There was a handball against St. Patrick Clovers in the box once again. We get a penalty shot, obviously. And Steven comes in from defense. Comes in with that blast of a shot that he has. Unfortunately, he shot it pretty close to the goalie. Fortunately enough, it was hard enough where it basically tipped the goalie's hands, kind of stung him, and the ball proceeded to go in. The ball hits the back of the net. Ref blows the whistle 2 or 3 seconds later. So we come away with another win there, 1-0. So basically, that team is on a 4-game win streak, which obviously is pretty good. Again, just slow start. This team just gets going slow, even out of the season. Like the first game or two, we usually don't play as well. The first half, we don't play as well. But this team seems to play better like that, unfortunately. Another game yesterday that I was involved with. Steven had a makeup for his Silver Lake Soccer Academy Sharks U8 boys team in the Cosmopolitan Division. I'm happy to report that the boys did record their first win, a 6-0 shutout against, I believe it was GW Gachi, in a 4:15 makeup game that really wasn't played till close to 5 o'clock, I believe.
You wouldn't be laughing that hard if it was the wind was blowing through you at Miller Field.
We just had enough daylight to get that game in. Fortunately, I guess maybe that they were backed up. And it's just, like I said, at the end of the day, games just get backed up. Took the boys out for pizza last night. So it was kind of a long night. Capped a long day. As my son Steven said, this was the best day ever, and it was only 1 o'clock. So he had much more to do till 7. Unfortunately, going backward, the Columbus Cup, the team didn't do so well in. Over at the field on Shore Parkway in Brooklyn. I think the closest score was 8-0. It went as high as I believe it was 13 or 15-0. And basically up until yesterday, the 6 goals were the only goals that we've scored since the first game of the season. I think Nikki put a goal in within the first 10 or 15 minutes of our inaugural game, and the scoring's been shut down since yesterday. So hopefully that gets better. Not that you need to score 5 or 10 goals a game. but you do want to know that you can score if you need it. That's going to wrap pretty much the youth soccer up, from what I know. We covered a lot of other teams on the Staten Island Soccer Report, which airs at 7:30 on every third Monday of the month. I'm sorry, my voice is still not up to par after being sick for a while. I don't know what's so humorous, guys, out there, but I guess it is pretty funny. So that's the Staten Island Soccer Report every third Monday of the month, 7:30, channels 35 FiOS and 79 Time Warner. If you want to catch me on that show as well, I co-host that show with John Contaduca, the host. So that's going to wrap that up. Just want to touch on baseball. Wow, and it's out of the park. Unfortunately, I want to start baseball note with the unfortunate tragedy of Oscar Taveras, a prospect who played his first season in the major leagues for the St. Louis Cardinals. Unfortunately, was killed in a car accident. I believe it was yesterday. 22 years old, bright future ahead of him. Unfortunately, that was tragically cut short. And also, unfortunately, that was the third tragedy and third player that active player that the Cardinals have lost in the last 12 years. The other being Darryl Kyle, who had a heart attack in his sleep back, I believe it was 12 years ago. And the other player was Josh Hancock, I believe was, again, killed in another horrific car accident about 6 or 7 years ago. So, unfortunately, the Cardinals have had a little bit of bad luck as far as that's concerned. I am a little bit disappointed. I was hoping that the Royals would stay ahead in the series.
Yeah.
Not that I'm really that big of a Royals fan, but
why not?
The Giants have won a couple in the last couple of years. I was hoping to get just to spread it around a little bit. Royals haven't been there in 29 years. Let's share it around.
Yeah.
And I guess create some more parity, right?
Why not? But unfortunately, well, it's not over. I mean, they still got, 2 games left. So
Yeah.
it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's not like they're down 3-1 or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly. So, never know.
I think they're playing the last 2 games are at home for them, too. So.
Yeah. Again, they haven't been there in 29 years, so it's kind of like almost, if they could win it,
Yeah.
it's great. The Giants won, 2 out of the last, 4 or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Them and the Cardinals have been alternating. Not much else going on in baseball, although I did hear that, I believe it was on Friday, Joe Madden
Oh, yeah. He
declined an extension.
Yep.
And basically walked away
that
from
was on
the
Friday.
Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah, I think he felt like they're just tuning him out because he's been there for so long and he just wants to move on. I didn't really.
I don't know if
they
they
but
couldn't come to terms on an agreement. Like you said, he's been there for a while. He's had more success with that team than anyone. He's been really there.
Yeah, primary architect, if you want to call it that. Well, maybe not architect, but
I did hear, which was interesting, that the GM had left, couldn't come to terms on an agreement went to L.A., so there was speculation that maybe they try to shoehorn Mattingly out either before next season or after and try to slot Madden in.
It's always a possibility.
Time will tell, you know, if he doesn't go anywhere before that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So we don't know about that yet. But other than that, everything, you know, I heard that maybe the commissioner may have not been that happy about that because they usually like to put a freeze on all announcements.
Oh, right. That's true.
During the World Series, but I guess you can't control something like that.
Right. Yeah.
They can't come to an agreement. And we're only, I guess it's worth mentioning, we're only, 3 more days until A-Rod is reinstated, or depending on when the World Series ends.
Yeah. Within the week, I guess.
So the lightning rod will be back. So that'll be interesting to see what develops there. But as far as anything else with baseball, I don't think much really going on.
There's not really. With the World Series, everything kind of, died down. That's really the center point.
But let's get to, I guess, what you call the main topic of the day. And you know where this one's headed. The New York Jets. Fumble. Interception. What do you think? Well, forget about you're sitting at 1-7.
Brian better have a censor button back there.
Yeah, exactly. And now's, I guess, a good time, since Vin brought him up. I want to thank Brian for all his hard work on this show and many others here at CTV. Let's go. Let's hear it for Brian. Brian LaPayawa.
Get onto your feet. Get on your feet.
Of the LaPayawa Report, which airs on Mondays, 6:30, channel 34, 6:30 Monday nights. Be sure to check that out. If you do have a unique talent, or any type of talent. Oh, you don't even need talent to be on the show. You just need a background and
interest, talent,
something to talk, something to come on the show and talk about.
Colorful remarks.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's a great program to check out. Very nicely done. I've been on the show myself. A guest where? For my show. Well, I can't attract guests like the LaPayawa Report. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. It's not the LaPayawa Report. It's LaPayawa Report, which is Monday, channel 34 at 6:30. Again, Brian, thanks for all your hard work on this show and many others at CTV. I know I really do appreciate it, and so does everybody else. And also want to I think we touched on this on the Staten Island Soccer Report, but it's worth noting. I want to wish Brian a very happy birthday, which was last week. Happy birthday, Brian. You don't sound a day over 16, okay? We'll keep you young at heart. But the Jets. Exactly. Someone got a skunk that they could wave in front of the screen, because that's what they did yesterday. I mean, 6 turnovers. 6 turnovers.
3 of them were in like the first 5 minutes.
All by the quarterbacks.
Yeah. Fumbles, interceptions.
1-7, and now on top of being 1-7, you can't. They don't even sit in the first draft pick.
Yeah.
Because the Raiders
they beat the Raiders.
0-8.
And they beat the
Are
Raiders.
they 0-8 or 0-7?
I think they're 7.
Well, whatever it is, the Raiders
they
are
had
winless.
their bye week already, so maybe they're just 0-7.
So the Raiders are winless. But in order for us to get in front of the Raiders for that top pick, the Raiders need to win twice.
Yeah, not just once, twice.
They got to win twice, and the Jets can't win anymore.
Right.
So,
right.
They can't even get the number 1 pick right.
Right, and Jacksonville actually has the same. It's not only them. There's the race to the bottom with Jacksonville too. They have 1 win.
So yeah, you're sitting here. The Jets could conceivably go like 2-14 and wind up with only the 3rd pick.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is horrible.
Right.
But that's the way the life is right now for them. Really goofy press conference.
Yeah.
I heard Mr. John Idzik, however you say his name.
Is gone. It's not it.
Yeah, exactly.
Is out of town.
Yeah.
Is packing his bags.
Again, they're saying that there's a good chance that the 2 of them, him and Rex, may be gone. Both of them.
Yeah.
You know.
Look, I mean, it was 19 minutes of basically just kind of like talking in circles without really making any sense. And trying to ask like a rhetorical question about Geno Smith that didn't really come off too well. You know, is he taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back, or 1 step forward and 2 steps forward? And, I think it's just 3 steps backwards.
Maybe 1 step to the side.
Yeah. Nothing's going forward. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And if it does, someone on the other team catches it.
Well.
But yeah, I mean, basically, you know, it was a strange press conference. He was non-committal about anything, which that's to be expected. You know, he made that trade for Percy Harvin. They tried to make it a point of playing him like 80% of the game, which he's not really that type of player. He's more of a specialist type player. You know, so it makes you wonder. It just kind of like made him do it just for the fact of doing something to try to, you know, reeked of desperation, you know.
See Tim Tebow.
Yeah, well, that was a different, things were different then. But, you know, so that just kind of, you know, obviously that's not going to go anywhere. I mean, you know, you got to wonder what Eric Decker is thinking at this point, besides like laughing to the bank. But, you know, seeing Peyton Manning break all sorts of touchdown records in their offense, so, you know, clicking on all 6 cylinders. And meanwhile, you're here and they're rolling into the gas station and the pumps are empty.
That's basically what's going on there.
You know, what else? Chris Johnson. I mean, the guys talk about someone who's probably tanks empty, not doing anything. Ivory, you get what? It's a dice roll every time he rolls. Sometimes you're going to win. Sometimes you're going to lose. You know, you're flipping a coin. So half the time it's going to come up heads, and he'll have a good game. The other half of the time, statistically, it's going to come up tails, and it's going to be a non-factor.
So it's basically a crapshoot.
Yeah. You know, what else? You got bad draft choice with D. Milner as the cornerback. You knew he was going to be a bust when he drafted him because the guy already had to begin with. The whole secondary's in shambles. The offensive line's in shambles. You know, DeBrickashaw Ferguson's kind of slowly losing his, you know, skill set. He's not being worth what they're paying him. The only pretty much anchor that you got is Mangold left on that line.
Yeah.
That's consistent. And, you know, you're not building the team around the center.
Yeah.
In this league, at least. So, you know, it's almost like there's like a spring in every, or there's a hole in every spot of the dam, and they're all leaking at the same time pretty much. You know, wide receivers, nothing. You know, you got an overpaid guy who you can't get the ball to, and then you got a specialist who isn't really a wide receiver, you know. You have a tight end that maybe you can be serviceable. No running backs that with any consistency or anything to build off of. Even if the guy was consistent, those guys are on the, you know, tailwind of their careers. So what do you got? Maybe a kicker? Maybe. You know,
Yeah.
that's it. You know, like where do you start, even if you're going to rebuild?
Well, you got $20 million in cap space that's
Yeah,
unused. You know,
but
why
what are
did
you
the-
gonna, that's not really going to do much, especially when you have a general manager that's a cap specialist, which is the reason why they have the money, but it's not a poor talent evaluator. Case in point, what draft pick has he drafted that's turned into anything?
Well, $20 million in cap space is to make them flexible for next year. But making them flexible for next year, what does that say to your coach now, who only have
Well,
1 year to win?
Right, exactly.
Wha-
It was poor planning from the beginning. I mean,
You know, if you're gonna go with that theory, what do you think the coach is sitting there saying? I'm gonna save the $20 million for the next guy.
right.
To
Well, even forget about that. What about all the people who are paying for PSLs? Forget about the coach even.
you know, well, yeah. What are you
You
gonna tell? Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
Oh, so I'm paying my PSL. Okay, so why don't I pay, 30% of my PSL up front now, and then I'll pay the extra 60%,
When the team's good
70%
again.
when the team's good again next season then.
It's like Bill Parcells once said about. He's like, yeah, sure, I use my running backs. I'm gonna use them, and I'm gonna run them to the ground or whatever. I'm paraphrasing it. What do you think? I'm in the preservation business. I'm saving them for the next. So
Exactly.
what's Rex supposed to do here? Whether you like him or you don't, what's he supposed to be happy that they didn't go out and spend money so that he could try to win? Again, it's irrelevant whether you like him or you want to run him out of town.
Right.
But if you were gonna do that, you just should have gotten rid of him.
Right.
But for some reason, Woody Johnson is enamored with him. Whether it's
Who, Rex Ryan?
yeah,
or the thing?
is
Well,
his style
it's probably the
or
person.
the bravado,
yeah.
the personality. Because, I mean, to me, Woody is just. He's an owner that hasn't been in the NFL all that long. But he's always tried to compete and make splashes instead of creating a sound football organization.
Right.
You know?
And he hires a GM because even Tattenbaum, although he was a little bit of a better, or was a better, somewhat talent evaluated, he hires a GM that's concerned about cap space.
you know?
Whereas most teams have a specialist, but he's not the general manager to work as that, as these other guys were before they were hired by the Jets to be the personnel director. You need a football guy. You need a talent evaluator. You don't need a cap specialist as the guy who's the top of the pecking order.
Yeah.
I mean, if you feel that strongly about it, which I think would be a disaster anyway, and then have co-GMs or some sort of like make some sort of title structurally where they're more equal. If you want someone with the cap space ability to kind of have equal say with the talent guy, but you need the talent guy. You can't have guys under the main GM because he's going to be. I mean, even as that person, you're going to be held accountable.
Yeah.
For the draft picks. It's not, you can't say, oh, well, my talent guy told us to draft this guy. You're the GM. You have the final say.
Yeah.
Where do they go from here? Who knows? I mean, your quarterback's a bust. There's no franchise quarterback anymore. You can't.
I heard that they're looking into even drafting.
Yeah. I mean, the cat's out of the bag now, what I've been saying from day one. He's a first-read quarterback. And that's what even the Bills said it. They let the cat out of the bag now themselves. They said, when we looked at the tapes, we saw he's a first-read quarterback. He gets to read. We know what receiver he's reading, and we honed in on it. And that's been the knock on him from day one. But they tried to he'll get out of it. He'll learn other ways to do it, blah, blah, blah. He'll learn how to, go into other reads if he sees that the coverage is lined up against his first read. No, he forces the ball the way his original read was. He's not dynamic like that. He's just not. he wasn't. He was a name. It's just like some of these other guys, like Johnny Football. They're just names in college that performed well in a system against non-NFL quality playing teams, where some of the teams had like decent superstar, but there wasn't like you're playing against an NFL team. And when you play in the NFL and it's all top flight, top tier guys, that's the best of the best. It doesn't fly for some of these guys who aren't like as skilled.
Yeah.
And it's obvious now. And it's what I've been saying from all along from the beginning why I didn't like him.
That's a shame. They've had him, what?
2 year and a half, season and a half, and it's a bust.
It's a short time. But, so we got Vixen against the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, they named him the starting quarterback, but what does that get you? That gets you maybe a salvageable season? I mean, at this point, okay, so you win a couple of games, and now you're further away from the 1 pick, so now you're like 6. What did that get you? Okay, you won a couple of games. It's not bringing people back into the stand and into the stadium. You're not developing any young talent to say, oh, well, next year, okay, we developed a couple of guys. We see some flash spots or whatever and stuff. There's nothing to build off of.
Yeah.
There's no one there to say, okay, all right, maybe that tight end guy emerges a little bit and becomes like a go-to receiver. That's the best that they could hope for.
The situation looks pretty bleak for them, and
it's at the point you got to just rip the whole wall down up to the GM and start over.
Yeah, I think that you're gonna see. I think the GM, the head coach, the quarterback. I think it's just all gonna be wiped clean.
And it's at least with football, it's easy that with the way the salary caps are, you can cut the guys and that's it, and you walk away from it. And then they'll have more than $20 million for next season. What that's going to get them, I don't know. I mean, most likely we're looking at next year maybe being a 5 or 6 win season anyway.
Yeah.
If they have to rebuild everything. And they are rebuilding from ground zero. There's no like, oh, well, the defense, at least they have a defense, or at least they have some offensive pieces. You're building everything from scratch.
Yeah. I was reading an article today that Rex may not even make the season.
It's possible. I don't see that, only because unless he leaves on his own accord.
Yeah.
One, he's getting paid. I mean, for him, well, that would be him leaving on his own. I guess I'm kind of getting it a little mixed up. But, I can't see them firing him at this point, because what's that going to do? Where is that going to get him? They're not going to have a head coach. What are they going to promote, like the offensive coordinator?
Yeah.
What's that going to do? The offense is in shambles anyway under this guy the last season and a half. You're not bringing in someone from the outside for like 6 games.
It's just been, not for nothing, it's just been run like a Mickey Mouse club. Between, if you remember, Tony Sperano, a year and gone.
Yeah.
This is not what you do. This is not how you run a football club.
Yeah.
And again, Woody Johnson, he's just trying to steal the back pages, with his, he's not like, he's one of the boys as far as the owners, but he's not really a football guy.
Right.
And I think he's trying to like force himself to get like this sort of respect, and I think he's becoming more of a laughing stock as he's trying it.
Right.
Right. I think he's like Charles Barkley in those commercials with Jordan and Bird. Can I play? Can I play? Can I play? And I think they just I mean, it's sad. I mean, it's. You get these owners, because the problem is, it's like, you get these guys like him, like Dolan, like the Wilpons, that want to try to meddle into the organization. And they meddle in, and it just, it winds up creating
bad karma and, make the decision, because they get involved in decisions they really shouldn't be in with. You're the owner of the team, and that's it. And, okay, yeah, you could have decision over, okay, I don't want to spend X amount of dollars. That's fine. As an owner, you have a right to that. But when they get involved in, like, go after this guy or target this guy, you have people that are going to talent evaluate.
Yeah.
If you decide the price is right, that's great. If you decide the price is too much, that's fine too. That's your right as owner of the team. But you shouldn't be prodding your general manager or people on your team to go after people.
Yeah.
For the sake of your ego, to get on the back page of a newspaper for the club or whatever. And it's like, it doesn't work that way. It might have worked in the 70s when Steinbrenner was doing it. You signed the talent, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But in this day and age, in any of the sports, it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, and those kind of guys were few and far between, too. Even then, you had some owners that were involved, but not everyone did that either. Unfortunately, it's very hard to be, obviously, a Jet fan right now. But who knows, they've just been a sad sack franchise, really.
Well,
since they've won that Super Bowl.
They have a couple of years where they look like they're going to turn everything around and be decent or whatever, or make the playoffs and get maybe to the Super Bowl, and then they'll get as far as, and we've seen that happen at least twice in the last, 15 years. They'll get to the championship game, and that's the highlight. That's kind of like the end point. They get to and then everything just kind of comes unglued after they get to the championship game and lose.
Yeah.
And, unfortunately, that's kind of like their, trajectory. They peak at that point, and then not only they don't stay at that level, at least go, okay, well, they get to the championship game a couple of times and lose, and things start to decline. It's kind of get to the champion. It's like almost like they jump off a cliff. They get off the championship game, and then it's like a nosedive down to the bottom, racing back to the bottom as fast as possible. I mean, like I said, there's nothing really for them to build off of to move forward.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't find something to say, okay, well, at least, the secondary is not that bad, or the defensive line isn't that bad. The linebacker, it's like everything's a mess.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, that's not to say, this is the NFL. They are a team. They're not going to jettison and turn the whole roster over. They're going to have to pick and choose who they keep, who they lose, who's serviceable. They're not going to remake every guy on the roster overnight. But, it's a Herculean task what they have to do at this point. And like I said, I'm not really hopeful for even next season. My opinion is you're looking at maybe 6 wins next year.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't think they're gonna.
What are you gonna do? Let's follow this path, right? Geno Smith's out. Let's assume that he's out. There is a possibility that somebody's an organization's gonna try to desperately cling on to him and try to think that he's gonna turn it around, which would be even a bigger mistake. But let's not even go down that path. Let's just say he is out. So what do you do with Harvin and Decker? You're gonna have a rookie quarterback, or you're gonna have some sort of washed-up veteran that you're gonna have as a starter until the rookie quarterback, whoever you take out of the draft, assuming you draft someone in the first or second round, is the understudy. So you're going to have a guy who's not even going to be able to get these guys the ball. The running back situation, you should just cut everybody and start over there. So what do you do offensively? You got these 2 guys, you're paying them all this money, but you got someone who can't get them the ball.
Yeah. It's a bad spot.
You know, and it's not like football is known for like trading. It's not like you're gonna make a trade, like a massive trade for any of these guys. I mean, maybe you could trade him for maybe a late draft pick if you want to start stockpiling that type of stuff.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah. It's a tough spot. It really.
So, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe my tune will change in a couple of weeks. They'll win. Maybe they'll win a game, and you'll see some bright spots. So at least we could sit here and say, "Oh well, this guy's doing a little bit better," or whatever. They could, it's one less problem for them to deal with.
Well, unfortunately, across town or in the same stadium, the Giants don't look that much better. So it looks like pretty much halfway through the season, New York football is.
Yeah, I mean, the Giants could win a couple of games still. I mean, they do have some parts left. They have some guys. Jennings got hurt. The other running back kind of has been doing okay. Cruz is out. They have who's their receivers now? Randall, Beckham, right? He's the other receiver.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. Maybe, you never know. They always have some good luck. God bless them that some guys step up. Because they have good talent evaluation.
Well,
some of these guys they draft step up. Now, are they going to make the playoffs? No, but at least maybe some guys will emerge for them to say, okay, well, at least this year was a washout, but next year we have some other guys to build on. Okay, Cruz will be back. I don't know where Jennings falls in the whole running back pecking order, if he was the long-term plan or not, but at least you could say, okay, well, next year will be a full strength. We had a couple of these guys kind of develop a little bit.
Yeah.
Manning, he's still going to be a quarterback. We can move forward, So, but yeah, I mean, between the it's like here we are at the end of October, and pretty much New York football's on life support.
Yeah.
And that's only because the Giants still have a remote shot.
Yeah.
And then for those of you who are like me, whose fantasy teams have gone down the tubes, or pretty much 80% there, football's pretty much done.
Yeah. The only thing left is that Super Bowl pool.
Yeah. The Super Bowl boxes.
And that's about it.
But yeah, so that's I guess pretty much beating a dead horse with the NFL at this point.
Yeah, we're gonna move on from that. The Knicks actually open this week, right?
Yeah, they're opening against the Bulls. Yeah. I mean, there's been mixed results with the triangle. We'll see. I mean, it's a learning process. It's going to take a while for these guys to get it. I know J.R. Smith wasn't too happy about it. He's struggling with the whole concept of it.
Yeah.
To me, I'm not going to knock the guy because he does seem like he wants to learn it, and he's saying the right things. But for a guy who's a shoot-first mentality and, I guess you want to say colorful character that he is, on and off the court, something says it's not going to end well after a while with him, with that shoot-first mentality. So, you could see him later on saying, "Oh, this isn't what I signed up for here," or something like that. He's liable to kind of go down that road. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. Hopefully they win some games. They're in the midst of, in my opinion, kind of, I wouldn't say rebuilding, but kind of getting organized, if you want to call it that, with this whole system now that they're trying to put in. I think long term they will be good, but it's going to be some growing pains for them. So I guess it's kind of a wait and see approach to it. But I still will say they'll be better than the Nets.
At least we hope so, right?
Yeah.
I just think the Nets are one of those teams like the Jets. They'll flash in the pan for a couple of years. They'll get some new coach or some new players, and then it'll slowly just fizzle.
Yeah, it degrades basically. Yeah, it just
You trying
degrades.
to you're viewed as a second-class citizen in the town, and you're just trying to scratch and claw your way to the back pages, and
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
unfortunately, you do things that are, I guess, less than desirable.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have any other much opinion about the NBA yet till the season starts. I mean, we'll see what Cleveland does now. I think we discussed this whole thing a couple of weeks ago with Cleveland, Indiana, and Chicago. Indiana kind of got knocked down with the injury now.
Yeah.
From the USA Basketball, what was it, Paul George, right? Yeah. So, we'll see how that shakes out. People are saying the Clippers might be the best team in LA right now, which they have kind of been the last year or two.
Yeah.
So, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I really don't have too much to say about it other than that, really. Until the season starts, I guess.
Yeah, season's gonna start soon. Basically, see what happens. All right. Last thing I'm gonna touch on. As always, the nearest and dearest one to me. Not so much really recently, but the WWE, they had their big Hell in a Cell. Yeah.
There we go.
That's ready.
Jaws of life.
Exactly. They had their big Hell in a Cell pay-per-view last night, which unfortunately I started dozing off toward the end because of very exciting 72 hours preceding it. That's gonna.
I think that was
nothing.
Woody Johnson's head exploding.
Yeah,
after the
exactly.
Game yesterday.
Not much really going on out of the ordinary. Just the usual. Surprised to see Dolph Ziggler win over. Who was it? Cesaro. That kind of shocked me, since they've been trying to push Cesaro for a while. To me, it's kind of like make or break now. You gonna move him up the ladder or not?
Right.
For a guy that they've been building, you knew the Big Show was gonna lose to the big Russian Rusev. They're trying to build him as this monster heel. My only curiosity now at this point is who's gonna knock him off.
Right. I think it's not gonna happen. I knew it was kind of going on. I saw it last night a little bit. I kind of it's, you could miss it for 3 months, but kind of the trajectory where it's going.
Yeah.
They're gonna beat that horse till it dies. That whole thing now, especially with world current events now.
Yeah.
Even if that kind of falls out of the world scope of current events, they're still going to use that character. They're going to beat it. And I don't think my bet is they'll probably try to ride it into WrestleMania.
And who's gonna beat him?
Hulk Hogan.
I've thought about that, but you know what? It's almost like. You'd love to see it, whatever, but you're building toward
right.
Make somebody new at this point.
Right.
Who knows? Maybe they got someone down at NXT.
Yeah.
That they got plans for him. What did surprise me, about him was that they're trying to build him as a monster. Then why'd you kind of toss him aside at the Royal Rumble last year? Why even have him in there?
Well, the thing was, he's a circumstantial thing, though, right? Because that whole thing with Ukraine, that kind of lit the flame for him. If that didn't happen, he might not be where this whole storyline might not even exist.
Yeah.
That's really, you got to think of it that way. I mean, there was some kind of issues world event-wise with Russia. that not to go into the political sphere of stuff, but there were a couple of events with the U.S. or whatever in Russia that they were trying to use back then, but then that Ukraine was like a powder keg.
Yeah.
The whole thing with Russia, the U.S., the EU, so that played right into their wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And they're just rolling with it.
Well, yeah, Vinny Mac, he'll roll with anything.
Yeah, and that rolled right. That it's like that literally just fell in their lap. That they made this character, and then that happened.
Yeah.
So it was perfect. It was perfect. And now and as it escalated, they were able to escalate him.
Yeah, and just kind of throw it in there. I was surprised to see the return of one Bray Wyatt at the end. He actually he interfered, hit up Ambrose, and Rollins came away with the victory inside the cage. So it was interesting to see where they're going with this. Obviously, I would think that Ambrose and Rollins is over right now, or being put on hold, which to me didn't really satisfy the charge.
Right.
Of two former teammates fighting. To me, it really hasn't climaxed yet. But I'm not sure if they know what they're doing with Roman Reigns out and Daniel Bryan out. I'm sure that threw a kink in a lot of their plans.
Well, I think that's part of their biggest problem is that they save too many things for later, and then just let it play out till it's it almost goes counterintuitive to what I just said with the Rusev, that they ride in that horse till it dies.
Yeah.
They sometimes with some of these storylines that you expect it to build up and just come to a conclusion, they just push it off, make it disappear for like 2-3 months, and then bring it back.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like people are tired of it at that point.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why things go stale on them.
And you're like, what happened? Why is this?
Yeah. Why is this relevant again all of a sudden?
Yeah. And I would say that's what's happening with the world title picture, too. Like, why is John Cena, Randy Orton relevant enough to get a championship match? Cena obviously walked away with the victory against Orton. So, I guess we'll see what happens. We'll stay tuned. Next pay-per-view, I believe, is the Survivor Series, followed by, I think it's TLC in December. The pay-per-views have been a little bit lackluster. They don't really have what they used to have anymore. Running one pay-per-view every month will do that to you. Furthermore, complicating it is the network. You're basically giving it away for less than $10 a month. So, is it really pay-per-view anymore?
Right, yeah.
People aren't paying per view. They're signing up for the network. And, hey, why not?
Right.
If you're signing up for the network for $120, that's 2 pay-per-views.
Right.
2. And if you include WrestleMania, it's actually less than 2.
I think part of the problem is that these things stop becoming events anymore. They're just another card.
Yeah.
For the most part. And people want the feeling of the event experience. Now, with them not being pay-per-view anymore, technically, to your point, that you're only paying for the network, you could get away with it in a way. Because people are paying for it no matter what. The problem where it's going to become a problem is that and I don't know this for sure, but if they're charging premiums for the tickets because it's a pay-per-view, or what's classified as if you want to use it as a classification for a pricing standpoint for tickets, that, it's a pay-per-view event, so we charge a premium price for tickets, that might start making it more difficult for them to sell tickets over the long term, because you're going to cannibalize yourself, because people are not going to feel like it's an event anymore.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's what's going on there. I really think that that's what's gonna go on there, and these pay-per-views are just
they're just gonna go down the drain, where it's gonna almost go in reverse back to
the
those,
big four.
those four, those events that we, like
Yeah.
back in the '80s that started them, like the Royal Rumble, the Survivor Series, WrestleMania, and SummerSlam,
Yeah,
and all these other, things are not gonna be classified as those
Yeah.
pay-per-view, which they're not gonna like if they're charging like premium ticket prices for those events.
well, yeah, that's a big problem for that as far as the ticket pricing. I mean, the thing is, I'm glad to have the network. I'm glad that it's relatively cheap, comparable. That you do get the pay-per-views, or even if it just included the 4 big pay-per-views, it's still worth it. But it's just taking, and I think you're right, I think it's going to be an issue with ticket prices, eventually down the road.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We haven't gotten there yet. The network's not even a year old. So.
Right. Well, we'll see, because the network could lose traction too, and then what? Because now people are going to say, well, you know what? Before I was paying $10 a month and I was getting the pay-per-view. They were buying it before the fact, but then they were paying $10, and then they start thinking what I'm saying. Oh, well, why am I paying $30, $40 if that's what it is, even for the pay-per-view?
Yeah.
When I was getting it for $10, and it wasn't even, I was just tapping to get it for the thing. Now it's not even worth what I was paying for it before.
Well, yeah, and if you don't have someone that wants to watch old footage, or really get into the industry and the history, there's almost no use to have the network,
Right.
But again, we'll see. I heard that they did take a big hit with the network, so hopefully they'll work their way out of some trouble. It looks like we're down under 2 minutes here.
The names have all changed since you hung around.
Yeah, welcome back, Todd.
Those dreams have remained.
All right, and that cue didn't.
Someone passed away from the show. It was like a
The
minor
wife.
character. Or was it the
No,
wife? That's who it was.
Todd's wife.
Oh, I don't really.
Todd's wife.
I vaguely
Passed
remember.
away. So, all right. Well, that's a wrap. For Vin, I'm signing off. Frank, once again, the pleasure is all yours, and we will see you next month.
Happy Halloween.
Welcome back, and I smile when I think how it must have been. And I know what a scene you were learning in. Was there some